what is going on. I'm so glad that we're coming back and doing this every week. I get to see you guys. I hope you guys come and hang out with us now that I'm live. I'm here. Come and hang out. I'm so excited for this episode. I mean, I've watched this on every show that I've ever seen, the paranormal. I've seen Jenny before I even get to talk to her. I feel like I already know her. That's how many times I've seen her. But this is our guest this week.
We'll keep the showers away, and if I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, will you pardon me?
Missouri State Penitentiary. Come on, guys. I'm so excited. So, Missouri State Penitentiary was a prison in Jefferson, Missouri that operated in 1836 to 2004, part of Missouri Department of Corrections. It was served as the state of Missouri's primary maximum security institution. Man, this is known as the bloodiest 47 acres of America. Like, this is like a no joke prison, and that's exactly why we have the viewer's discretion. We're just going to talk about this historic jail. And here's Jenny to come and talk to us and let us know of the activity. Let's go. Hey, Jenny, how are you?
Christopher, I'm doing good. How are you?
Oh, excited to talk to you.
Excited to talk to you too.
Like I said, I've seen you on so many of the documentaries and Destination Fear, and I feel like I already know you. Like,
thank you.
You gave me all the information that I need. So
appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. So before we get into it, like, how do you get into the paranormal? Like, is it kind of just a childhood thing?
Well, I tell you, so I get asked that every now and then, did I believe before I, started at the prison? And yes, I did. I've always, been into the paranormal stuff. I'm a horror movie junkie, the whole thing.
Me too.
But I will tell you, and I had a couple of experiences when I was younger. Random. Were they paranormal? I think so. There was no explanation for what happened. But anyway, when I got involved at the prison, though, it was on a whole different level. I literally thought when I first got there, and I'll just say it because, what the hell am I doing here? What am I doing? Am I crazy? I'm wandering around in this abandoned prison, and the place is just beyond huge. I'm thinking, what have I gotten myself into? And you start second guessing yourself, and you're thinking, wait, I don't know if this is for me. And then the next thing you know, you're 10 years in. And so, yes, absolutely. I was into it and still am.
Yeah. It only takes, I always tell people, it only takes that first time.
One time, and then you want it to happen again. Yes.
Yep. That's how, I know I talk about Gilchrist, and we have Henry on the jail on the show all the time. Shout out Henry. Love you, brother. But yeah, like I was telling you, it's only only 8 cells. It's a little county jail.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, go upstairs by yourself and see what happens. And I went up there and just walking down the little hallway. Like, I'm a big guy. I take up pretty much the whole hallway. And literally something hit me in the chest so hard I couldn't breathe for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I instantly walked down there, and Henry's like, what happened? I was like, so when can I come in here with my equipment? That, like tomorrow? Yeah.
I need to check this out. Yes.
Yeah. And I've been there like 7 times.
Exactly. You get hooked. It truly is. You get hooked on what you experience, and you want more.
Right. So, how did you get in? You said you walked into the prison. What the hell am I doing here? How would you get in? How
Okay,
did you get into
yes.
that?
True story. I'm pretty much a lifelong resident of Jefferson City, of course, where the prison is located. And I have a day job. Most of us that work the nighttime tours and investigations do have day jobs. And so my day job is in downtown Jefferson City. I was walking one evening or day, and a friend of mine that worked there at the time pulled up next to me and on the street and said, "Hey, do you want a part-time job?" And I'm like, "Doing what?" And she's like, "Working at the old prison." And I truly had forgotten that they were doing tours there. They started them in 2009.
Okay.
I had done a tour before, but then just kind of forgot about it. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds kind of cool. And so you started out, and I started out as an assistant, which means you're in the back of the group and kind of
Right.
helping everybody move along. And quickly, because Jenny talks too much in class,
Yeah.
I I love to talk. I got asked if I wanted to be a guide, and I'm like, yes, I would. And I've been doing it. I'm going in 11 years in about 2 weeks. We'll be going in, starting up the season for
That's awesome.
2026. So yeah, it was literally something that just happened to fall in my lap, and I am grateful every day for it. I'll tell you what.
It's that I know living in a little town. I lived in Pennsylvania, and I mean, I've been to Eastern State Penitentiary, but that's in like made stacked dab in a major city.
Uh-huh.
I could like a prison that big like Missouri. It's got to take up like the whole town,
Well, here's the deal. Of course, it
like the
started
prison
out.
and then the town.
Yeah, it started out so far back, like you said, 1836, right along that river, and
Yeah.
then the town grew around it. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yeah.
And so the city, the town just started populating outside and continued to grow and grow. The other thing is, of course, we're the capital of the state of Missouri, and that's the main reason that they wanted the prison to be here. And so they kind of cut a deal um, in order to keep this as the capital of the state. We said, we'll build this prison here, and it happened, and it grew expeditiously.
Yeah.
I know in your startup you mentioned about it being uh, maximum here in the state, and we were actually the only maximum security prison in the whole state for like 153 years.
Oh wow.
So you
So
say
you
no,
literally got the worst of the worst.
the worst of the worst, the no joke. That's exactly what it was. It was no joke in that prison.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't even imagine. Like
Mm-mm.
I've
Mm-mm.
never been to jail. I've never been to prison, and I don't ever want to be.
Me either. I would not make a good criminal. I have figured
No.
that out. No, not for me.
I I am like 6'1" and like 300 something. I went to the jail in St. Augustine and I couldn't even fit in the cell.
No,
Like they
no.
were so small. I couldn't even imagine like 2 or 3 people in one of them little ass cells.
Well, here's the thing. Up until probably when the feds came in for the first time, which was late 1920s, early 1930s. So you literally had almost 100 years
Yeah.
of no officials ever coming in the prison here in Missouri. And they were stuffing 6 to 8 men or more. Oh, yes, there's that mouth hanging open, documented in
Holy
every
shit.
cell in those housing units.
Wow.
The overpopulation was horrendous. It was an obscene number, double and triple the amount of people that were supposed to be held in there. And that was because there was no place else for them in the state. We were it. And in the early days, we were literally the only prison that was west of the Mississippi River for almost 100 years. So
Yeah.
anybody from west of that river was coming into us. And the population just, again, grew expeditiously. Within 2 years, it was overpopulated. Remained that way, start to finish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to skip the pictures just because we're on
Nope.
this topic right now.
Go right ahead.
That's a cell.
Yeah, let me see where you are. Oh, that's my red chair. That is housing unit number 3, general population cell.
They would put how many
Now,
people in there?
in that one, that housing unit was built a little bit later, and so
Okay.
probably 2 to 4 in that cell.
But still.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
wow.
You might show one of the other pictures at some
Right,
point.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
do, I'll stop you if you get to one that was the 6
Yeah.
to 8. Yeah.
I just
It was terrible. It was beyond your comprehension how it was even like in there, day to day for these gentlemen and women.
Yeah.
Of course, for a while we housed females for about 80 years in there. You can't even wrap your mind around what it was like to be in there. Truly,
it had to be terrifying. It
beyond.
had to be. Yeah, you like
Beyond. Going to sleep every night, surviving during the day as you're moving around in the prison, because it was kind of what they called a free roam prison. You know, we had factories that they were going to every day working in, the dining hall. They had to exit the housing units to get to other locations where maximum penitentiaries now, pretty much everything is contained, by hallways. They
Right.
don't exit out every,
right.
not very often. And that's not the way it was. And so you had men that were literally just
Everywhere.
strolling around in there all the time. And you're talking people that killed people, kidnapped somebody, maybe
Serial
was just a
killers.
petty thief, and they were all just, it was a melting pot, because you just had anything and everything stuffed
Yeah.
in there together. Yeah.
Wow. We have some comments. Oh. Hey, Robert.
Oh,
Uh,
Rob. Hi, hon.
what's up, Rob? How you doing, brother? I hope you're doing good.
I'll see you soon.
Hey, Ashley. Thank you for coming to hang out. I appreciate it.
Hi, Ashley.
So, I want to get into the outside of these buildings and find out
Yes.
what these buildings are.
Show some
So-
photos. That is housing unit 3, the one that you just showed the interior
Okay.
photo of. So quickly, upstairs, 4 levels, general population end to end. That level you see right there at the roadway,
Yeah.
that is death row. Then on this, in your photo, if you're looking at it, would be left side, but I would call it east side. Under death row is yet another level that was different things at different times. In the early days, that was mentally and criminally insane down there. Men that should not have probably been in prison at all. They should have been in a mental institution. But
Yeah.
let's be honest, we can go all day about that. Those were as overcrowded as we were. Treatment was just as bad. It was pretty much a wash. So they didn't really
yeah.
know what to do with them, and they just stuffed them down in there. It was pretty much total darkness down there for the most part, and no toilets, down in there, and you could touch the walls with your fingers. I mean, these were literal,
Oh, yeah.
like hallway sized little rooms,
Yeah.
just beyond tiny. And then when they moved those guys out, of course, as when the feds came in and they started changing things, that became an area that would have been punishment for the guys that were upstairs in general population. So
Right.
James Earl Ray spent some time down there. So yes, 4, 5, 6 levels altogether in that building.
That's what I'm saying, man. You have just rows and rows of rows.
It's huge. Yes, it's
the most
mind
ill
blowing.
the most evil people in this freaking United States are just sitting right next to you.
Crammed in there like sardines. Yes, they were.
That's crazy.
Same building,
Yeah,
different view.
I'm just trying to show how beauty it is.
That's exactly what we call that building. Is she's a beauty. I mean, night or
She
day,
is.
she's
She's
very
really.
photogenic. The
I
whole
like.
place, the whole place is photogenic. What am I talking about?
I like because we did Ohio State Reformatory too, and
Okay,
they have
yes.
the giant windows like that also.
You know, it was Eastern State, us, Ohio, and I
Yeah.
know Derek Wilson, who runs Ohio State very well. So we all kind of did the same. That medieval Gothic, very imposing look, because they wanted inmates to realize as soon as they swung in those gates that they were in trouble. You know, and
It,
you're not in a good place. I mean,
it,
like those two things that looked like guard towers that's not what they were. They never were. Well, actually, what they were or air ventilation. Air moved through. Yes, but it was very imposing looking to look at that building,
oh
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So that's exactly what they were made for.
Like even
There
at
she
night,
is. Look at her.
that's freaking.
So
I
that was taken from my car. So every time I pull up in there at night, that's the view you see as soon as you pop up the hill. Incredible.
I'm jealous.
I told you I'm blessed. I sure am.
Oh, for sure. I want somebody to pull up next to me. Like, you want to go work at a prison? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I'll go buy my body camera right now.
Oh, that's a neat idea. I wish I had the funds for that. I have
Yeah.
to save up. Oh, that gave me a thought.
'Cause, I mean, you can clip that right onto your sweatshirt, and it's an infrared camera. Like, and some of them have little cameras you can put them on a magnet, and they kind of just sit there on your shirt, and then you can literally see around everything in front of you. I want to get one.
That'd be good for making my TikTok videos too. So I'll throw that out there.
Yeah.
All right, I might have to look at that. Now you've got me thinking.
Jenny is a good pull. Glad you have her on Underworld. Me too.
Oh, thank you.
That is a whole different game there. Oh, I'm sure. We'll be there in June.
I can't wait. See you soon.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely let me know how that works out, Robert. That'd be awesome. So
known Rob a long time.
I've only talked to him on here, but he seems like a great guy.
Yeah.
So this is the building that we just looked at. What is the building in the back?
Well, that's very interesting because, yep, that's the one in front. The one in the back, that's housing unit number 2.
Okay.
It was just a general population housing unit, nothing fancy. I mean, literally, these were caged cells, one after another, row after row after row. That building actually is gone now. They tore that down, and it was due to the shape that it was in. It was bad. I guess that was not this past fall, but the fall before that, they took it down. So it's gone now. It looks a lot different up there for those that knew what it looked like. But
oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. And tours were never, guests had never been allowed in that red brick building because it started falling apart quickly.
Right.
After they quit maintaining it. People don't realize you stop maintaining a structure, it will fall apart.
Oh,
and, it did. Time took its toll. Weather took its toll. The river took its toll. And so it needed to come down. And so, yeah, they did demo that one and took it away.
Yeah, they walking through Penhurst.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, you can just see the earth is just taking over the building. Like it's just the building's there. But
nature reclaims.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
it does.
Still one of the favorite places of people on this planet. Nice. So I'm excited to talk about. We talked a little bit about this building right now.
Mm-hmm.
What was so? The whole thing of not having a roof. It
Yeah.
got hit by a tornado.
Yeah, we'll just touch on that. But the roof's back now. That's all that counts.
Right. So what was this building? What was
Okay.
this for?
This building is the oldest building that we still have on site. It wasn't the oldest one, but it's going pretty far back. So this building was built in 1868 by post-Civil War inmates. You think about
Wow.
that. Yes, very cool. Again, it's 4 levels above ground. There were several uses for this building over the years. So probably the first 80 years, no electricity, no plumbing, 6 to 8 men in every cell in that housing unit.
Wow.
It was one of the most violent. It was where one of the whipping posts was. It's where the dungeon cells are located. And then the feds came in, things changed. Plumbing and electricity came in, and it switched gears and became segregated. It was an all black housing unit for about 70 or 80 more years after that. And then desegregation occurred in the penitentiary in 1974, I believe, is when they finally got that done. And then it was an honor dorm. Now, it wasn't quite a trustee level, but they got some perks. You know, you had to be on a list and violation free and things of that nature. And you
Right.
know what I like to really point out while we're talking about these buildings is when you look at these buildings were not ADA compliant. There were no elevators. They were stairs up and down. They were difficult to maneuver. You can tell by looking at them. They were built in the 1800s, early 1900s.
Right.
They did not do many upgrades. So you had men in 2004 still living in buildings that were built in the 1800s
Wow.
with very little upgrades. Like the toilets they put in, I mean, you know, they're crude at best, and
Yeah.
they didn't ever come in and do full sweeps of upgrades. They just repaired things as things were needed and that kind of thing. It was beyond rough in there, beyond rough.
Wow. And like Missouri, you guys, thunderstorms, snowstorms, you're living
Yes.
in it.
They would have been freezing to death in the wintertime because there was no heat, and they were sweating to death in the summertime because there was ever any air conditioning, ever.
Dealing with
Heat
disease.
came along. It came in waves. You know, it was like coal heat for a while at the
Yeah.
beginning, steam, but there was never like, you know, HVAC in there ever. It was rough being in there. It
Wow.
was a prison from start to finish. Yeah, it
Yeah.
did not change.
Wow. And like even you getting into the prison now, that was only 6 years
Mm-hmm.
from when it closed to now. When you're
Yes.
well, not now, but when you first started investigating, it had only been closed for 6 years.
Yes.
It's
It's
operated in
crazy.
2004. I
It's
graduated in
crazy.
2005. So a year before I graduated, that prison was still
Running.
operational. That's crazy.
And I'm talking fully functional. Fully.
Wow.
Yes.
That's just so many freaking levels of just, excuse my French, people, fucked up energy.
And decades of it.
Yeah.
Men coming and going, men that were there their entire lifetimes. It's a mixed bag in there for sure. Mixed bag.
Wow. So I want to get into one of the prisoners that I wanted to talk about.
Claude McGee.
Yes. Claude McGee and his partner John Mayer killed a man while robbing his home in 1930. McGee's death sentence was committed to life in prison. McGee then killed a partner and fellow inmate over a $20 debt. McGee was tried and sentenced to death for his crime, making him the only Missouri State Penitentiary inmate to have been executed for a crime committed while in prison. He was executed by cyanide gas on January 15, 1951.
Correct.
That
Correct.
is,
Interesting story about Claude. Claude looks pretty good right there, doesn't he?
yeah,
Well, if you Google his last photo taken before they executed him, he will look completely different. Poor Claude did actually go crazy in the prison.
I'm sure.
Well, I'll just tell you, they would never execute an individual like that now. He truly was mentally insane, and they executed him anyway. Claude's kind of a sad story, but there are a lot of those sad stories in prison.
Right. I mean, that's your environment.
Yeah. Claude's final photo down at the gas chamber is the one everybody picks out of all 40 immediately because of how he looks. I mean, he's out of his mind.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yes.
So I have another one. My pretty boy Floyd.
Charles Arthur. Yes.
Pretty much, if you've ever seen a movie where Wear Out the Brother, that's Pretty Boy Floyd. He was a bank robber. He was a gangster. He lived in that era of bank robbing with Babyface and Dillinger and Al Capone. He lived in that area. How did he get caught? Like,
I need to research his backstory. And when you work there, you pick, well, I do anyway, you pick someone every now and then and you research them real hard, and try and find out everything there is to know. And I haven't done Pretty Boy, but I know some basics. I, of course, know more about other folks, but he came in 1923, I think, on a 5-year charge, probably for robbery, I would most certainly guess. I also believe this was the first time he had ever done time, his first stint. And then, of course, we all know he got, killed in a field in Ohio or something where they ambushed him or whatever. So he had a very short but illustrious career, I guess you could say. His cell, and we know very few cells of where people actually were in that prison for 2 reasons: because it's so big. Second reason, they just didn't keep track. They didn't write down what cell they removed them. They went in and out. They didn't care, for that matter, what cell they were in. We know where Pretty Boy's is, and his is in that housing unit 3 where death row is. He's on the first level of general population, back around on the back side, on the west end of the building. So we do happen to know where his cell is, which is really very cool in the grand scheme of that facility. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Do you get any activity out of that cell of Pretty Boy, or?
I haven't spent a lot of time in Pretty Boy's cell. Again, the place is so big.
Yeah.
You just don't ever, and I'm just going to be honest, you tend to go back to the same places, where you get activity. I'm even guilty of it. You don't think about going somewhere else, which I need to do more.
Anywhere else. Yeah.
Yes, you got to think outside the box. And so I've not gone to Pretty Boys yet. I know we'll get to a couple more people as we go here, so I won't spill any beans that I.
Right.
Yeah, but I need to see if we can talk to Pretty Boy. Personally, of the individuals that were there that we know of that truly were famous people, and there, of course, were several, I just don't feel like they are still there.
Right.
I think the ones that are there, that they're just random dudes, that are stuck. Their souls are there for reasons we're never going to understand, and they just want to talk. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll try Pretty Boy a little more.
Oh yeah, the drawing you in. That's how I felt the whole time I was at Eastern State Penitentiary.
Yeah. What
Like
is Rob saying? He's talking.
but I the whole time before I walked in there and like paid and everything, I was fine. But as soon as I got into the courtyard and started walking through the building of Eastern State, it literally felt like something was literally just sitting on my chest
Uh-huh.
the whole time.
Yep. It's a
Until I
feeling.
walked back outside of the walls, back into the city of Philly.
Yep.
Like
It's a feeling. That's exactly what I tell people over there. You feel it when you get in there.
oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The thickness and
Yes,
yeah,
the heaviness.
right.
Absolutely.
So there's a story that I heard that completely just it's so inhumane and so crazy to me that a gentleman can be stuck in a black box for 17 years. I mean, how did he come out crazy? Did he come out blind? Did he
Well,
came out completely normal or
you're talking about JB Johnson, and they called him Firebug, and they called him Firebug for a reason. He was an arsonist, and he started out setting some small fires in the prison, and then he kind of graduated and ended up setting some larger ones, and he got thrown into the dungeon, and that's the area that you're referring to, and these are underground punishment cells where they literally were burying these guys alive. That's exactly what it was. They would just stuff them in, shut the door, feed them once a day, fighting over bread, living in the complete darkness. And I will call it cave dark. That's what it is. There's no light. So they did come out crazy. They did come out blind, but JB did not, either one, because he actually wrote a book when he left about what his experience was like in there. And so he wouldn't have been able to write the book. And
right,
so we don't really know why he was not either of those things. But our guess is maybe they would bring him out, every now and then and let him parade around or whatever. And then they'd
right.
throw him back in. Not really sure. But yes, JB, very well known guy in there.
Well, I know those cells that people would go in there and they would leave them in there and they would literally, again, people, this is viewers' discretion of eyes. They would
Christopher,
literally
it,
kill
it
themselves in these cells.
yes, they would ram their heads into the walls to commit suicide. Yes, they absolutely did. I won't sugarcoat it. I told you that before we
Yeah,
started.
yeah,
Because this is what it was like. They killed each other. They died of starvation. There were no toilets down there. The disease was rampant. Cholera, typhoid,
yeah.
syphilis was everywhere in that prison because they were not separating diseased and healthy inmates, in those early days. They were just stuffing them in the same cells because they didn't care,
I mean, that's
period.
straight through tuberculosis.
Yep, we had an actual tuberculosis wing in our medical hospital when that was a thing. There were so
Wow.
many guys in there with TB. So many.
And were they just passing as much as Waverly or
I'm sure because I said they weren't worrying about segregating them, and
yeah,
keeping them quarantined. That unit could only hold so many people in that hospital area because they did have hospitals, on site.
right,
But there was no way they could have quarantined all those guys. Now, there might have actually been, maybe there was a TB wing somewhere in one of the housing units. I might need to research that. I had never thought about that. But
yeah,
even still, the windows are open in the housing units.
yeah,
So everything's blowing around. If you're coughing, it is airborne.
right.
It's going to travel. Yeah.
That's
Terrible. Terrible.
the more and more I talk about prisons, I love my freedom.
More and more,
It just makes
absolutely.
me want to behave so much more.
Yes, yes.
So you're talking about popular and celebrity and very well known person that was in this prison. But the reason he was in this prison, he was only a petty theft, correct?
Hmm.
James Earl Ray.
Yes, came in as a petty thief. Yes,
Like so from what I understand, that he escaped Missouri Pen, and then after he escaped, he assassinated Martin Luther King.
correct.
And so you said that he got transferred to Brushy Mountain.
That's where they took him. Yeah,
So
after he assassinated King, they took him to Brushy.
yeah. So how did he escape? Do you
Good
guys know?
question. Great story. I mean, really. Um,
I mean, I know prison is like inescapable, but I
yeah.
know it happens.
Well, this prison was not inescapable. I mean, it wasn't, and there were several reasons why. They were using inmates on off-site work crews, and they just walk away. They would take them down the
Um,
river and use them in as far as Joplin or Kansas City, and they'd jump off in the river and try to swim across. Uh, so escaping attempts and escapes happened quite often, especially in the early days. But James was even more out there. He was a wiry little guy, first thing, and he attempted escape several times, and they would capture him. Well, he actually worked in the prison bakery because I'll just make reference to this. This penitentiary was, as I said, self sufficient. And what I mean by that is there was not much that any of those men or ladies would have required from the outside. Everything was, it should have had its own zip code. I'm not joking. There was a bakery, education, anything you
right,
can, I mean, anything you can imagine, hospital. And so he worked in the bakery, and they loaded up the truck on a Sunday morning with baked goods. He climbed into one of the bread bins. They put stuff on top of him. They rolled him out the lower Sallyport, which is down by the river, and normally, they check the truck underneath all the bread bins. In fact, they had a solid like rebar iron bar that they would jam into these bread
right.
boxes, and make sure nobody was in them. For whatever reason, that truck just did not get checked well enough, and they didn't find him, and he rolled right on out the gate in that truck and then just got out when they got across the river. I think they were on their way to Wren's Farm, which is across the river. It was a female prison, and it was probably male before that.
Right.
And the bakery delivered, to all the other prisons, because this prison system in Missouri was kind of a
A main hub.
well, everybody did something, bakery or raising cattle, or
Yeah.
some of them were growing vegetables, and they shared everything. And it's how they kept the
Okay.
prison system in Missouri going. They still do this, actually. And so, yeah, he just got real lucky. Plain and simple, he got real lucky, and they didn't catch him. And he ended up going down to Mexico. He got some plastic surgery, kind of changed his looks a little bit, came back, kind of ended up wrapped up in politics or something, and things that with his candidate didn't go as he wanted, and he ended up just taking that out on King and assassinating him in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So,
That was going to be my question. Like, was he escaping with the plans of assassinating?
no,
It
no,
kind of just gradually.
he got into that later on. And the
Okay.
other really interesting thing about him is it was almost a year to the day after he escaped from our prison that he assassinated King. He was actually still on an active escapee list at Missouri State Penitentiary
Oh
when
wow.
he committed that crime, because teletypes were sending his pictures around going, anybody recognize this guy? And we were
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's on our escapee list. And they were like, well, he just assassinated Dr. King. So yeah, pretty wild piece of history, amazing piece of history, incredible story.
Yeah. Like we were talking about Project Fear, they were just at Brushy Mountain, and they were in.
It's a bucket list. Maybe
Yeah.
hopefully I'll get there at some point.
Well, if anybody from Brushy is watching, message me because I would
He
love to talk to
escaped,
you
and
guys.
I mentioned he escaped from Brushy too, and he was
Did
gone
he
only like a
really?
couple of days, and they caught him pretty quick, and then he ended up, finishing. I think he ended up in like a halfway house kind of thing,
Yeah.
and ended up dying of like natural causes or something. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk before we get in. Actually, we'll show a little bit of pictures before we get into
Okay, let's
that
just we'll
situation.
yeah, let's see what you got.
So I just, as a photographer, I just think
Oh,
that's freaking. So
okay. That's one of my favorite personal pictures. Yes, yes. And
uh,
what that is, we don't have access to it. All I did was put my phone up to this chained off,
yeah,
hallway. But that is the hallway that connected Housing Unit 1, which is the entrance to our tours, to Housing Unit number 5 and number 2, because the hallway ran like out like in a T,
right,
and it connected the two red brick housing units. We had housing unit number 2 that you had in the picture earlier. And then there was housing unit 5 on the other side, and it connected those two buildings. Inmates had an actual name for that hallway. They called it Death Alley.
oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm sure
because
that's the
well,
main
there were
hallway.
constantly men moving through there, and a lot of people got shanked in that hallway. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Now, while we're showing these pictures, what kind of activity do you get in the
Yes, we need to talk about that, don't we? Okay,
Yes.
well,
Uh,
um, first thing I will say is I have never felt, um, people ask if you're scared to be there. Well, no, I'm not. I've never had that kind of a feeling. I don't get an evil feeling or menacing. It's more like I mentioned. It's just individuals who did something bad in their
right.
lives. And so we try to keep things light in there. In fact, that's a rule. We don't uh, play around and provoke and do that. You just talk to them like normal people. But I will tell you, I have had more experiences than I can even remember. I wished I would have kept a journal for the
Yeah,
last 10 years. I guess I could start now, never too late to start. But I tend to even forget everything because most times it's small and random. And it's that thing of where you just go, wow, that happened. That was cool. That
yeah,
kind of thing. I have had whispers in my ear. I've been touched. I've been poked. We have shadow figures that are there. One that is reoccurring. We do have a couple of things that we call, I would call reoccurring that we see and have seen over the years. Uh,
so
Crawlers.
yeah. I was
Yeah,
going to say that
crawlers.
from what I remember in the Destination Fear, you kind of just you said that you kind of just walk and they kind of just follow you.
Yeah, and they're low to the ground, or, we've caught them on the wall or up above, or, that kind of thing, watching.
Yeah,
Uh, Same with the shadow figures. Shadow figures are usually, you see them at a distance, they're off to the side, and they're watching. They're kind of just seeing what we're doing. They're kind of protective of the areas. We have a lot of equipment, that
yeah,
everything in there goes off. K2s, REM pods, EMFs. You catch things on voice recorders. I've got some really good voice recordings that I've caught, two actually in 11 years. I've only caught two because I'm always busy doing something else. But
right, right.
um, people catch things on camera all the time, just random things. But then I'll also tell you that I have had a few times that it's been again, I don't really know what word I want to intense, an intense experience, that experience that makes you go, what the hell just happened,
Yeah.
or where I do have to exit an area, just because of something that's either happened or something that I'm feeling around me. We've got a couple spots that are a little heavier,
Yeah.
than others, and we know this, so we know what to expect in these areas. But then sometimes I can be in there and not have anything happen at all, and
Right.
it is just the experience of being there. I think for me in there, my favorite thing and what I suggest to most people is sometimes put that equipment down.
Yeah.
Just put
Right.
it down and sit in a housing unit and listen, because you spend a lot of time constantly looking down, either at an app on your phone or watching for a
Right.
K2, and you're going to miss something that's moving down at the end of the
Above you.
hallway or three
Yeah.
levels up that's
Yeah.
above you that, is just swift, and they're quick. We know this. So, uh, it just is something that it's never the same thing. It's different. So it keeps you wanting to go back and
Yeah.
connect with what you've connected with before. We talked about that previously too.
Yeah. Now, walking through these cells and
Mhm.
walking through at night, have you ever just walked next to a cell and just see random something in the cell,
All
like
the
in front of
time,
your eye?
all the time,
Yeah.
all
That's,
the time. I can be standing, Christopher, especially in housing unit number 4, which was the old housing unit we talked about and you had the picture of. And
yeah.
as I'm talking, guests are sitting in front of me in the chairs, and I will every now and then, glance up, and and finally I'll have to uh, apologize to the guests. I'm like, I'm sorry, but something is catching my eye, every
Yeah.
now and then up above. And they immediately, everybody looks up. And so that's why we tell people when you come in there, you need to be looking around, because it's happening all around you. You just have to be aware,
Right.
be open to it happening, and look and not worry about focusing on me. I don't care if you're looking at me or not. I can talk without you looking at me.
Right. Well, just me being an investigator, like not just a podcaster, like I'm an actual investigator.
Yeah.
Like I'm literally gonna follow your eye as soon as your eyes
Yep.
move. Like, what are you? All right, I want to see what she's looking at. No.
Or, some will be, and somebody will hear a tap from behind them and you'll see somebody go, and I'll go, what? Tell us, they'll
Yeah.
be like, okay, I swear I just heard something in that cell, that's literally like 2 feet, 3 feet away from them. And I'm like, yeah, you probably did. You did.
Yeah. That's the fun part of doing events, Robert.
Absolutely.
You get to walk around by yourself.
I will just tell you, it's my absolute favorite thing to do in there is just
Walk
walk
around.
around.
Yeah.
Just walk around. Um, you, you have probably a better chance of having something happen, like I said, either just walking around quietly or just sitting down than worrying about all that bells and whistles stuff.
Yeah.
And take pictures, just take pictures and then look at them later on.
I I would literally go in there with a full battery and my phone would be dead by the time
Yep.
I got out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
Well,
phone full, like mad that I didn't get the last 5 photos, like I don't even care how full my phone would be.
that happens on its own sometimes too, just so you know.
It just
That
stopped
that
working.
battery on those phones and equipment just goes,
Oh, I'm sure.
yes.
The spirit's gravitating and taking me.
Well, they taking all that energy away. They're going to use
Yeah.
it for themselves. Got to communicate with it.
The top of the stairs, 3D, look down.
No, we don't
Man.
talk about 3D, Rob. We
Ah,
don't talk about that.
what is 3D?
Well, that's the mentally insane area I was talking about earlier. And Rob knows, he's been many times. I will just tell you, that is the one spot that, well, me personally, I'll admit it flat out, got no problem doing it. And a lot of others that work at the prison. I will not go down there by myself, ever. I don't care if it's in broad daylight at 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. I'm not doing it. No,
Wow.
that's
Now,
the spot.
now I wonder, being criminally insane, you know, I've like I said, I've been to Penhurst. I know that energy. I wonder if
Mhm.
it's the same kind of energy. But I know like Penhurst is like the mentally challenged part of the state school.
Mhm.
But these are like criminally. I wonder. I'm just in my thoughts.
I don't know. I just know, and we all know, and everybody that comes there knows when they go down, it is just a different feeling down
Oh, I'm
there
sure.
immediately. And it actually ends up, it goes around the backside, and you end up at a dead end, excuse the pun, and then you got to turn around and come back. And as I tell people, for me, it's not the going down in, it's the coming back out,
Oh, yeah.
because always you feel somebody behind you. You don't dare turn around and look. You just get up them stairs as quickly as you possibly can.
No,
You take two, I've seen people take 2 steps, come running up out of there before.
I would turn around.
I
I'm not.
won't.
I'm that kind
Uh-uh.
of person.
I'm
Uh,
not doing it.
yeah, I'm kind of fearless, and it gets me in trouble sometimes. But
Uh-uh.
it's not the same kind. Got ya. I used to live near Penhurst. I lived in Lancaster, about an hour away.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Very different. All right.
Very different.
Okay. I just didn't know like the asylum and them the mentally challenged part of like you've got to be some kind of something wrong to be that kind of person, like normal people don't. I don't know.
It
I,
is just not a good place.
yeah,
We'll say that. We
yeah.
go, I mean, don't get me wrong, we go down there, but it's the buddy system at all times for Jenny. All times.
I'm sure. So, what is this going down to?
That is going down to death row right there.
Uh, so, what kind of energy is it? Like the mental, the regular cells, the population? What kind of energy do you get in that? Is it more depressing? Is it
Well,
more?
for me, death row is one of my favorite spots. Oh, that sounds very strange. I know, but
No, it's
it is what it is.
Yeah.
That is where we do have one of those reoccurring hauntings, if that's what you want to call it. And it is a very large shadow figure. It is, for me, again, my opinion, of course, it is one of our most active areas. This shadow figure is imposing. We don't have any idea really who he is. We've had people in there that give their opinions. You know what they say about that. I kind of get the feeling maybe he is a guard or maybe a past inmate because, again, he's got that protective, watchful
Right.
kind of, he stays back in the back of the hallway, but he is there. When he's there, you can feel him. He has been photographed numerous times over the years, reoccurring times. But
Wow.
I don't get that, like I said, don't get that evil feeling from him. Lots of noises on death row. Of course, that's where, and I don't know if I'm going to, maybe we can just jump into this for a minute when I say what I say, but that is where the gentleman that they killed during the riot was. And so, there are a lot of things that are going on down there in death row. So it's a very active spot. That's why I like it. And it does not give me that big boy. Rob,
Yeah.
that's what we call him. That's what we call him. It's not that pitch dark. You get the light coming in from the very large windows, if you've got a little moonlight or some stars outside, which helps you see shadows. You know, I tell people the dungeons are great, but you can't see shadows. You're into pitch
Right.
dark.
Right.
I mean, so it is one of my favorite areas. It's one of my favorite areas to investigate.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now
And
that
it again runs the entire length of that building. So at the bottom of them stairs, you can go to the left or you can go to the right, and there are death row cells on both sides of that building. Huge.
wow.
Yeah.
How about do you know the amount of cells that are down there?
You know what? I am so ashamed to even admit this, but
It's okay.
I don't. And I thought about this last year. I'm going to guess and then I'm going to verify when I go in 2 weeks, or I'm going to text somebody. I am going to guesstimate that there's about 80 to 90
Wow.
altogether, both sides together.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're-
Because
you're-
there are two walks on both sides. So and there's about like, there might even be 100. It might be 25 on each walk, and then 2 on each side would be 100.
God,
Maybe
yeah.
90 to 100. Yeah. Always full. Cells were always full. What did he say? At least 90. Yeah,
At
that's
least-
what I think.
He said
I
at
think
least-
maybe 100. 25, 25, 25. Yeah. I'm
so
going
80
to
to
check,
90
Rob.
sounds more accurate. Got ya.
Yep, I'm gonna check that. That's on my list.
So
The ever-growing list. And there are even some solitary punishment cells on death row. 4 of them that they actually blocked off regular death row cells on one of the walks, and they would hold you in there if you were punished, on death row. So,
Right.
even you're on death row, that ain't punishment enough. Not in that prison. They're going to punish you even more so. And so they slept on concrete blocks. They didn't get bunks, no mats, no blanket. It literally was a concrete block that was, I don't know, again, Rob can chime in, 2 foot on just this huge block. And that's what they slept on.
Wow.
So in the dead of winter, you're sleeping on solid concrete, no blanket.
Solid ice.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So
Death row ain't enough, I'm telling you.
I feel like the whole prison's death row. Like
Dude, very, very good analogy. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
yeah.
Pretty much.
So you getting into the riot, I want to read a little bit about this.
Yes.
So around 6:30 in the evening of September 22nd, 1954, 2 inmates fringed illness to attract the attention of 2 guards. When the guards entered the hall to investigate, they were overpowered and their keys were stolen. The 2 inmates then bolted out of their cells and ran along the cell block, releasing others as they want, and the riot broke out. When the authorities regained control, 4 inmates were dead. At least 50 were injured. One attempted suicide. 4 officers had been injured. Burned out hulks in several buildings lay smoldering. Damage was estimated to be around $5 million, but no prisoners escaped.
That's correct.
So I have a picture of this.
Yeah. They torched it. They sure did.
And then you were telling me after the riot happened and they lived in it.
I mean, they did not move the guys out and, repair the prison. Absolutely not. You caused the damage. It is what it is. And I'll say that more than once. I already have.
Yeah.
Again, though, they did not torch their housing units. They were smart enough not to do that. They knew they had to have a home, and that was what that was. Housing
Right.
unit was home for those guys. So they torched the factories and the dining hall and the education building and the admin buildings and, those kinds of things. But those buildings literally were right around them in
Right.
smoldering rubble. Yes, absolutely. And then guess who repaired those buildings?
The prisoners.
The inmates. Of course
Yeah.
they did. Yes.
So the people that were rioting, other than a handful of people, had two different agendas for this riot. So
Yes.
most of the prisoners thought it was to make their lives easier, make better food, make, what everybody wants in prison is a better life.
Better treatment. Yes.
So from what you said, there was about 4 or 5 people that had other agenda of why they started that riot. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I can. Small group of men. This was a actual planned situation. So the 2 men that feigned being sick were in E Hall, which was a building on the other side of that oldest housing unit we showed earlier. Long gone before we ever started doing tours. But they were after a gentleman who was being held on death row, and actually he was being held for his own protection. It was the safest and most secure area in the prison because he had snitched on a robbery gang with members that were in the prison. And this information got out to the gang members who put a hit out on this guy. And, it's prison. People like money. They can buy things, they can trade, they can barter, etc. So this group of men took this hit and devised this plan to do this riot and get to this guy over on death row. And they ended up getting to him. Long story short, used a sledgehammer to bust through the wall of death row, the brick wall, interior wall. And they went cell to cell until they found him. His name was Walter Lee Donnell. And they did ending up brutally murdering him inside that cell because they did get keys away from the guard that gained access to those death row cells and opened it up. And they stepped inside, and there were about 6 guys that bludgeoned him to death with the sledgehammer that they had used to bust through the wall. Stories say that they slit his throat. He was a snitch, and snitches get stitches and end up
that's
in
the
ditches.
number one rule of prison.
You don't do it. And here's the thing: it don't matter how long it takes them to get you. They will devise a plan. They will carry out a plan. They have nothing better to do, even if there isn't money involved, because you're going to pay. You're going to pay for what you've done inside there. So So all of that damage to get to that one gentleman, and I don't know how much, the hit amount was. It probably wasn't a whole lot, but it was enough to do what they did.
It was definitely not $5 million worth of damage they did.
In 1954.
So that's got to be millions and millions now.
Huge. It equates to about over 50 million. It would be over $50 million now.
And like nowadays, if that happened, they would just shut the whole prison down and
start over.
Try them out.
Well, not back then. Again, you made the mess. You're going to live in it and clean it up.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, that's so crazy to me.
The whole place is crazy, man. The whole place.
And like, you didn't even have to worry about the prisoner. I mean, you did. You had to worry about prisoners. You had to worry about food. You had to worry about all this stuff. But you had to worry about the guards, too.
Yes. Especially in the early days. Now, of course, later, things did change. And guards and most inmates did have a certain rapport. You're working with these guys. You're with them every day. Sometimes, pulling a double shift. You're in there 24 hours with the same inmates for years and years and years. And so, guards in the early days were brutally violent to the men and women that were in there. They were running the prison along with the owners of the factories that were manufacturing goods in there. And they flogged them, they whipped them, they beat them, they isolated them, they waterboarded them. The list just goes on and on and on of the cruelty and the punishment that went on. It was not just physical, it was mental also. They were very good at it and they were very proud of it. It was almost like a a badge of honor. But again, back then, it was different. People weren't aware of what was going on in there.
Right.
Times were different.
Right.
So yes, but it was awful. So not only were you fighting amongst yourself as inmates trying to survive living in that place for decades at a time, you also had the guard. So inmate on inmate, guard on inmate, inmate on guard. Violence was everywhere you turned, everywhere.
And like the only thing I can think of is like the most in tune of prison life was Shawshank Redemption at
Very
Ohio
good,
State.
very good comparison. I mean, it is.
Like that's the most reputed movie that shows the life of prison, like
Yes.
male on male rape, like
I use
dude,
that comparison because that's fictional, but
right.
what the story was is factual in some locations. Shawshank, Eastern State, and us. We're the ones that use those brutal forms of punishment and torture and
Right.
those old systems, and because we were the first penal system. So again, I tell people it was the trial and error on the backs of thousands of individuals that came through those facilities. And reform was very slow to come. I mean, it just was. It's shameful. It shouldn't have taken that long for change to happen, but it just did because, again, I'm honest. They meant, they were criminals back then. It didn't mean anything. They didn't mean anything. Yeah.
They were just inmates and people to watch.
Yep. Do you know at Missouri State Penitentiary in the very early days, you could pay a nickel and come in and look at the inmates?
No.
Like circus animals. Yes. Yes, this is true.
What did they just do that for revenue or like?
Yes. I mean, look, yes. Of course, it went right into the pockets of the people that were running the prison.
I'm sure about that. Wow.
Because it was like a spectacle back then, it's like, come on in and look around. And yeah, they just come in and gawk at them.
You guys need to start paying a nickel to investigate them because
I don't think the city's going to go for that.
Yeah, I know.
I'll put it in the suggestion box.
But I can hope,
That's right.
If they paid a nickel to go see, I should pay a nickel to go investigate. So, like, speaking of just cells. Oh no,
They're everywhere. I'm trying to look to see where you are.
Oh,
that's all right. Go ahead. You're fine. I can look while you're flipping through.
well, no, I wanted to say on this one, just you're so close to everybody.
Yeah, they were on top of each other, literally. They used every inch of space possible inside those prison walls, and I mean down to the last inch. There wasn't a spot in that ground that was not being used for something. They made very good use of the space. Oh, there you go. That's the catwalk in Housing Unit 4. Now, 4 levels, those were the walks that they would use to cross back and forth in between that building, that old building, the one that's empty on the inside and the cells are on the outside.
Yeah.
And when you are up on that 4th level up above and you walk out onto one of those and look down, yeah, look at that. See them? Yeah. Jenny doesn't make that trip up very often anymore. It's
Now,
quite the walk.
Do you see stuff on those catwalks?
All the time. All the time. All you have to do is sit in the metal chairs that are down on that flag walk and watch. And I will almost guarantee you of an evening of sitting down long enough, you are going to see something up there.
Now, is it more of like the guards patrolling?
No, I think it's inmates coming in and out of cells. A lot of times you'll see them at the rail, so they're at the rail and they're either talking to each other across the way or they're just looking down or, whatever. So that makes me feel like they're inmates because they're standing at the rail most times,
Okay.
or they're crossing one of those catwalks, or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. And to be honest, I am not sure how often guards would actually have went up in housing unit 4. I mean, you can pretty much see the whole building if you're
Yeah.
standing in the middle. I mean, I'm sure they went up if something was going on. But I just don't think they were up there walking around a lot for the most part. I think they stayed down on the flag walk. So most of the times you had inmates walking around up there. There are pictures, of course, in the history and archives of just guys just standing up there, hundreds of them, standing out at the rail, chit chatting during the day or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, knees up, feet up on the rail. So I think they're inmates.
That's now, is this one of the cells? Like I was gonna
Um,
ask, but those it says this like this kind of reminds me of Eastern State.
yeah, some of them are in pretty rough shape, and a lot of that is additional damage, of course, from the tornado, and then just time. Again,
Yeah.
where the buildings are, this building's going on almost 200
Oh,
years old. So,
yeah. Well, I know when I was at Eastern State, they're kind of just letting it do whatever it's
that's
doing.
kind of what we do. We kind of just, we want it to stay the way it is
Yeah.
intended to be, and not change any of that natural
Right.
stuff. If you start changing stuff, that might start running something off too that we
Right.
want to keep. So,
Well, I know there's like certain places of Eastern State that are just like crumbling away.
yeah,
Like they're
yeah.
just not even there anymore.
hmm
Like that's what I
And
mean.
of
There's
course
just,
that happens over there. And again, weather. There's just so many
yeah,
factors, and some things you can repair, and some things you can't. So yeah, kind of got to pick and choose.
yeah, for sure.
Yes. Oh, that's looking down. Is that
Oh,
looking down from the top floor of housing
that's
unit
so
4?
cool.
That's how high up you are. Guys were pitched off the side when they were fighting, and
I was gonna ask, what year did they start putting the gates, like the fences, in between those walkways? So I know Eastern State has them,
in
because
housing,
the prisoners would push the guards and they would fall.
yeah, well, in housing unit number 4, the old one, like the one that, to my knowledge, never,
Wow.
never. Now there are fencing in housing unit number 3, but I believe that was put up when they started using that building after it was closed down. The highway patrol and our local PD would use the buildings as training, and they'd use them as repel, and that.
Yeah.
And something I remember something about some of them getting put up for that. But in housing unit number 4, no, never. You could push somebody right over. They committed suicide by jumping off the top head
I mean,
first.
I couldn't even imagine just walking and not even paying attention. Well, I mean, you're
Yep.
hoping you're paying attention.
And those walks in that building are so narrow. They are so narrow. Your equilibrium and your balance, vertigo is an issue for people that go up there, because there is nothing that is, keeping you from going over the side. We tell people you got to be careful up there.
Yeah. I mean, do you know how many suicides there were,
We
or
have no clue.
uh,
No clue. Again, and I'll just tell you, and we know this for a fact, they really did not even start keeping, I'll just say it, half-assed records. And these would be handwritten ledgers with an inmate's name, date of birth, county they came from, crime, race, and sentence. And they would handwrite them. That started in around the 19 teens. So for almost 80 years before that, they kept no records, zero,
Wow.
none of the men that went in and out of that prison, and women, none. Very few. I mean, we know of very few. So we don't even know how many committed suicide, how many died of illness, old age.
Yeah.
Nope, sure don't. And I don't even know if you can guesstimate it. It would be, if
Over
you
a
added
hundred.
all the deaths, I'm sure you are in the high thousands
Wow.
for the entire. I mean, it was running 168 years.
Yeah.
So, and at one time, well, actually more than once, but at one particular time, the amount of violent attacks and killings in there was just astronomical. I mean, just off the charts. And
Yeah.
so can't even imagine how many died in there for whatever reason.
Right. And now I have a couple more pictures, but I just
Yep.
remember before we went live, we were talking about this, and I want to see if this is what you were talking. Let me see if I
Okay.
can find this picture. So
Sure.
this the basketball hoops, this little ledge up here,
Uh-huh.
where the fence line is. Is this where you were talking about with like former inmates or whatever that
Well, it
you
would
go
have
up there, and I'm
been,
sure there's something up there.
it would have been on down past, well, that is where the original wall was when the
Okay.
prison first opened. Where that limestone wall is,
Yeah.
see that
Yeah.
there, and then it goes on down, and then the white wall
Yeah.
starts. So
Right.
right where the white wall starts would be where, right about where the lower rec yard starts. There's a whole big rec yard down below. They had a regulation sized baseball field and all kinds of stuff
Oh
down
wow.
there. And so right along the ridge there where the white wall started and all the way down where you can't see to where the
Right.
wall would be, all of that area
Yeah.
up there. Yep, that's the area. Mm-hmm.
Now that's what I was saying. I'd be like, go.
Yeah, no kidding.
Go
Dig
get
it.
me one right now. Like,
Right. I want to
can you
see
just
it.
imagine
Go.
that?
Run.
Like, yeah, like go find me four and I'll give you a free tour or something,
I'll try to
Like,
find you. I'll try to get you a shovel.
yeah, for sure. Like, what, like, speaking of that, like, having former inmates that walk through the prison and tour the
Mhm.
prison, and, like, I'm sure you have crazy stories, but is it like they kind of just reminisce the whole tour,
You
or,
know, I tell you, there are different ones. Some of them are very quiet, and you might hear them say something to somebody they're with, probably a family member. You'll hear them say something like, I was in a cell, over in that building over there. And you go, oh,
yeah,
oh, inmate. But you just kind of leave them be. I don't approach them. None of us do, I'm sure. But
do they
if they
approach
come
you?
up to me, and a lot of times they do, in fact, most times they do, they will talk to you. If they come up to me and open up the dialogue of saying, hey, I was here, and I'm like, that's it. Now I'm going to start asking questions.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
of course, we are beyond respectful of these individuals, no matter what their life or situation was. Um, but a lot of them share information that we would never know
Yeah,
unless you got it from a
if
former
only
inmate.
inmates knew.
They're the ones that know, and they'll share stories sometimes. In fact, really quick, in case I forget before we sign off, I know tours, but we actually have a former inmate
That's
who had
gonna
a
be my
30
next question.
30-year sentence, and he actually does daytime tours, the history tours.
Wow.
And so he will talk to you and tell you exactly what it was like to have been in there and lived in there. And that man came in at the age of 17 and pretty much lived the most formidable years of his life inside that penitentiary. And it's just amazing. You can listen to these people talk forever. Well, at least I can see
Yeah.
because I'm obsessed, and I know that's weird, but
No. No,
Their
that guy would
stories,
be my best friend.
oh, their stories are truly amazing. I mean, they just are. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Do you have any tour guides that were?
Yes, yes, sure
That's,
do.
that's really cool. So I have one question and one
Sure.
photo of what this exactly is. Is it like somewhere they put somebody, or is it kind of just?
Okay.
Like I
Now,
see a
first I'll
tour.
ask, was this one of my pictures or did you get this somewhere else?
I think it's one of your pictures.
Rob, you still here?
No, he left,
Oh,
unfortunately.
shoot. Okay. Is
It's
that on
okay
my,
if you didn't know. I didn't even notice the toilet until I looked at it.
all right, where is the toilet? And I'm
To the
on my
left.
cell phone, dude, which might be, am
So,
I seeing? All right,
yeah.
hang on.
So right to the left there's a toilet. It's okay. I just
No, no,
realized.
no. Well, all right. So what I want you to have to do is you'll have to message me with it, and then I'll have to tell you where it was.
Okay.
I believe by where I think that was a cell in housing unit 4, and I
Okay.
think it might have been the guards. You know, the guards had their own cell that they would use for toilet or office or whatever.
Okay.
I think that might. Yeah, I'm on a cell phone, so I'm sorry.
That's,
I hate that.
no, you're
I
fine.
don't
You're
have a computer. I'm not all techie. I work
fine.
all the time. I ain't got time.
It's all good. So I do have. I just love this picture, by the way.
That's my picture. Yes, that's housing unit 4.
So do you guys bring the lights, or do you guys have lights set up in
So
there?
we've got, of course, it did have lights in the ceiling, and the tornado took all of that away. And
Okay.
so we improvised. And so what we did was we just went to, well, the boss, prison boss, Sheila. I don't know if she's out there or not. She went to Walmart and just got some of the string lights, the bubble, the
Yeah.
glass,
Yeah.
and we hung those underneath the bottom,
Cells.
well, under the second level, we strung them
Oh,
along
yeah. Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But the light you see illuminating in the floor out down at the end, that's the dungeon area. So
Okay.
that's where you go downstairs to those dungeon cells we were talking about earlier where JB was.
Wow.
Yes, it's a shower area now, and there are lights down there that stay on all the time. Well, I mean, we can turn them off, but we leave them
Yeah.
on most times. Yeah.
Yeah. So me being the history guy and seeing all the
Yes.
artifacts and stuff, like
Ugh.
the actual controls to the cell.
Well, actually, what that is that's the control bubble. So that's in housing unit number 1. Housing unit number 1 is where we do our tour entrance, but also at a couple different times over the years, that was considered a main entrance to the prison. So,
Okay.
like, I'll just tell you, like, all that glass around that bubble is bulletproof glass. If an
Oh,
inmate
wow.
was trying to escape, this would be the first place he would head for. It actually opens up, wow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different gates from the outside coming in to that area. So a very, very highly important, highly secure area of the
Oh,
prison
yeah.
control bubble. One of my favorite places. And we actually get to push those buttons when we open those gates, when we do our tours. It's so cool.
I was
It's
gonna
so
say,
cool.
I was gonna ask, do you guys hear like phantom cells and like the sound of those cells?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yep. For me, most times I hear the doors rolling. And, excuse me, also you got to keep in mind the 3 housing units that we offer on our tours and our hunts and our overnights were all built in 3 different decades, and the door mechanisms changed over the years. You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying? So
yeah,
some of them are the rolling type, some of them are the swing
yeah.
type. So they're different. But the place I hear the door, the phantom door open and closing most often is upstairs in housing unit number 1, which was the female department originally. It's my favorite location out of any place in the facility is the women's area. The ladies are very underestimated. They don't get the time they deserve. People don't spend a lot of time in there because it's really just a housing unit block. There's nothing special really about it. You know, it's just a bunch of
Yeah.
cells. But noises in there, cells closing, people talking, full body apparitions have been caught on camera there as of late, oh, especially in the last like 2 seasons. Um, so the ladies got a lot to talk about too. And then after the women got moved out, of course, that became a male housing unit and it continued to be used. So you've got male and female population in that building to talk to.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of door closing. And then, you know, you run up trying to figure out, well, you can't figure it out because there's 90 cells up there, you know,
Right.
so there's no way to determine which one it was because some of them are open, some of them are closed. It's how they shut the facility down. Not all of them are all closed in any certain location. Not all the doors are all open in any certain location, you
Right.
know, so it's all different. Hard to tell with the doors, but we do hear them quite frequently.
Wow. So I've been waiting to talk about this. Uh, was the gas chamber the only form of execution in Missouri?
Okay, so up until the gas chamber was enacted, it was public hanging, and actually,
Okay.
almost every county in the United States during that time period had a public hanging gallows. That was the way of execution back in that day. And actually, our last execution by public hanging was a dual hanging, and it actually brought in quite the crowd of people to watch. You know, people would bring their children. This was like a afternoon event. Let's take a picnic lunch and go watch the
Yeah.
hanging, you
Yeah.
know. And so officials were like, we need to figure out a better way to do this. So hey, let's do a gas chamber instead. So it went from public hanging to our gas chamber on site at the penitentiary. And that first started being used in 1938. 37, 38, and used it up until 65 for gassing. And it was cyanide gas, and they gassed 39 individuals from 1938 to 1965. Then 1965, there's a national moratorium on the death sentence, and it's, you know, taken away. That was nationwide. Most sentences were commuted to life with no parole. And then states voted again whether they wanted to bring it back or not. I believe that was in what, 76, I think. It was about 11 years. There was no death sentence. And Missouri voted to bring it back, and they tested the gas chamber and it leaked. They threw smoke bombs inside the chamber, and you know, those seals had been setting for 11 years. They
Yeah.
had rotted out. It's a good thing they checked it. They would have gassed everybody in the building had they not, because cyanide is invisible. You cannot see the gas, right, you know, in the building. And so then they ended up switching over to the lethal injection method. And that was in 1989. So there was quite a spread between 65 and 89 that there were no executions in Missouri whatsoever.
Oh
And
wow.
in 89, we did one execution by lethal injection inside the gas chamber. They actually took the chairs out, rolled the guy in on the gurney and did the injection, and then rolled him back out and then bolted the chairs back down. And that was actually the last execution we ever did at Missouri State Penitentiary, because the Potosi Correctional Facility was opened, and I believe that was 1989, right the same year. And death row got moved to Potosi. They moved him out of Missouri State Penitentiary, and we just stopped housing death row
Okay.
at MSP, and we just didn't do executions anymore. So the gas chamber just sat empty from 1989 until it still sits in the exact same spot today.
Wow. And I
And
know.
all executions are lethal injection, of course, in Potosi
Right.
now. They don't use gassing. Funny thing though, gassing is actually still on the books in the state of Missouri as a lawful way to do executions. There's just no functioning gas chamber because we're the only one that had it, and it doesn't work anymore. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I know that there's at least 40 people on death row that were put to death
Hmm.
from the gas chamber. You said that they would do dual gassings to random people, but there is one
Yes.
story that it was a boyfriend and girlfriend
Mhm.
that kidnapped a very important person at that time, son, murdered the son, and
Yes.
then asked for the ransom to bring the son back, knowing that the son was already deceased. And the guy gave him what, like it was like 160,000 or something like that.
No, it was
Oh,
600,000
600,000. That's it.
in cash, in 1953, which is about $6.5 million today.
Wow.
It
How
was
did,
the largest ransom that had ever been asked for up until that day. Yeah.
wow. Did they catch him while they were dropping the money or?
No, and this is a very, very well known story. Many books written about it and lots of information on it. But no, their demise was the money. They immediately took off to the St. Louis area and started living the high life. They were partying it up. They were dropping money. And so, they're tipping waitresses $100 bills or 50s. And again, this is 1953. The
Right.
other thing is the gentleman that was one of the two kidnapper murderers was an ex-con. Um, the female, his companion and partner, was a prostitute. They were both raging alcoholics. And so you've got these two individuals with all this cash, and they
Yeah.
actually ended up kind of like renting a taxi cab driver for the night. Like, here, we'll pay you $500 if you'll, take us around all night long. And he kind of looked these two up and down and were like,
Definitely not the type to have that kind of money.
you shouldn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
they called the FBI, and the FBI came in. They only ended up spending about $3,000 of that 600 grand before they were sitting on death row at Missouri State Penitentiary.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. They were evil, cold-hearted killers. That woman had absolutely no remorse for the crime they had committed, and that little boy was 6 years old when they just brutally murdered him. And they never intended on returning him. That was not in their plan at all. So
Yeah.
they asked for that ransom money, knowing damn good and well that child was already dead, and put those parents through multiple money drops. Um, Knowing that child was already dead, it is just a heart-wrenching story of people that have absolutely no remorse. None. It
Right.
was all about the money. It was all about the money. Now, wait a minute. It was the money for her. It was kind of the kidnapping for him. He had always wanted to kidnap somebody. It was the thrill of doing it and seeing if they could get away with it. Now, of course, the money was great too. Don't get him wrong.
Right.
But so basically, yeah, you just had two evil individuals take the life of an innocent child for money and the thrill of what they did.
And booze and I mean, back in those days, there wasn't really that much stuff to buy like it is
No,
now.
no, not that you would probably need $600,000. Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
And like, especially with alcoholics and prostitutes and like,
Well, it all goes hand in hand. In fact, he had spent time at MSP prior to this, and it's how he actually found out about the family who was in Kansas. They were out of Kansas City, and that's how he learned about them, and then gets out and hooks up with her, and they devise this plan together. And they
yeah,
were bumbling. They were bumbling idiots. It's really a wonder they ever even pulled the thing off. I mean, but they did. But they paid for their crimes as they should. Again, that was an absolutely, absolutely brutal thing.
yeah. I trying to remember if it was on Destination Fear or somebody. I think it was like Juliet Prison or something like that. they were saying that people would go in with just petty theft or something very small, and you get 30, 40 years for this crime, and then you come out with like a doctorate of so much more crime that
Well,
you learn throughout the years, and being incarcerated that
for
long.
I'll just tell you, Missouri State Penitentiary for many, many years was not a place of rehabilitation or reform. It just wasn't.
Yeah,
That was not its purpose. And so you had men that just became more hard and more hard over the years. And it was just the way things were and the society that they were in the
yeah,
prison, I mean, the prison population, that they really just almost didn't even have a chance.
yeah,
Most of them. The other thing is when you're incarcerated for that long of a time, you do become institutionalized, and it's difficult. And the men that were in MSP, for the most part, you are talking hard, long timers. These are
yeah.
not, so again, reform was a great thing that came in. It needed to happen. It should have happened much earlier over there. But it just wasn't made for that back then. It just wasn't.
Well, I know I'm talking about like reforming and like rehabilitating people. That's what Eastern State was built for.
Hmm.
That was the maximum security. That was supposed to be the light up above the cells, the light of God, and
Yeah.
like
It was it was a silent system. You were to read the Bible and repent, and we did
right.
the same thing at MSP. Now here's the funny thing about that. Back in that day, most men didn't even know how to read.
Oh
So you
wow,
can't read the Bible.
yeah,
But the silent system, they were to remain completely quiet. Guards at the at Missouri even put pads on their boots so they would not even make sounds when they would be walking on the walks. It was silent, and that was supposed to reform you.
yeah,
And of course, we know that didn't happen. And then I think it just went into the overpopulation, decades and decades of overpopulation over there, and not enough employees. And it was just like I said, it was this melting pot of violence. And then, you get reform, and they get some education and
yeah,
some better treatment, and things get better. It was just the penal system was such a long and hard road for the individuals that did it in the beginning.
right,
Um, but they're the ones that paved the way that got them to where they are today, as far as how they are in those
right,
systems. But
right.
because they can sure as heck be a whole lot worse. Proof of that is sitting right over there on that
For
hillside.
for sure.
Hmm.
Well, I know like Gilchrist County Jail. Shout out Henry again. Like it was 1926, 28 ish, and the warden would leave at 6 p.m. and not come back till 6 a.m.
Yeah, so they didn't even know what was going on. You couldn't
Exactly.
contact them.
Yeah. Like that was till like mid 70s, I
Yeah,
think.
and that's pretty much, I think, probably when real reform started in ours, was in the 70s. That's
Yeah.
when any kind of just the slightest bit of change started occurring over there. But up until then, it was just, I said, it was just such a rough, rough place to be.
Yeah.
Such a rough place.
Because like I tell people all the time, I have these pictures that I really want to show real quick, but
Yes, do, because we don't want to miss not seeing the pictures before we're
they
done.
I feel like Pennhurst
Uh-huh.
started it all. Like they didn't break into Pennhurst, but the mistreatment, the freaking treating people this way, and went from the asylums to the jails to the prisons, all in that 70s era. Like
Yes.
that was
Because it was basically all in the same category when you think about it. They locked him up and treated him poorly.
yeah,
They didn't get medicated properly there. They didn't get treated They didn't get medicated properly in prison when they needed that at times back
right.
then. it was just such a vicious cycle back then. So yeah, yeah. Well, we need to show the pictures and be sure
Yes.
we tell everybody about the tours. And when are you going to come on down and visit?
Oh, hopefully soon. I
Yeah, or
got
I
a
guess
couple.
come on up. You have to come up, not
I
down.
do have to come up. Yes, kind of up and over.
Yes, up and over. That's right.
So, talking about shows, Destination Fear, everybody, I love watching these guys, the Tennessee
Uh,
Red Chasers.
my boys.
Do they come to that person a lot?
They have come annually. They are a returning group for us every year. In fact, I think it's September they're coming this year.
Okay.
And they have been coming for as long as I've been there. Love them to death. Mike, Chris, always a great time. They put on a great event. Um, so, yep, yep. If you ever get the opportunity to hang out with those boys,
Oh,
it's a good time for
I
sure.
hope so.
Yes, good
So
time for sure. I'm great friends with both of them. Yeah, they're
the
great
last
guys.
time they were there, they would light up the
Uh,
prison cells.
they had Housing Unit 3 lit up like a disco. I'm telling you what.
And you said they had music playing. They had
They had music pumping. Yes, I'm sure the boys in there were having a party.
uh
And when I
so
say the boys, we mean the inmates. We
yeah,
call them the
yeah.
boys. So they were partying it up that night for sure.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they loved all of it. So like events
Uh,
like this, what is this?
Okay, well, that is probably one of their, is that their event or is it one of our own? It's hard to say, but that's me, of course, and
Yeah.
our group of guests. So that is housing unit number 4, the old building where somebody went upstairs and came out on one of those catwalks and took a picture from above.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Now
those are the metal chairs that when we sit in housing unit 4 and investigate or just watch or do our tours, yeah, that's right in the middle of the housing unit. Yeah.
so with that many people, do you kind of just put people in groups and spread them out or
I mean, every event that comes in, they do their own thing. We don't really tell them, they just, but when we do ours, well, and I'll just go ahead and plug them. We've got 2 events coming up this year. We'll have one in May and one in September, and we call it These Walls Still Talk. So we do a 5-hour investigation where we will split up into groups and rotate through 4 to 5 different areas using different equipment in each location. One of us is in each location, so you get to, hang out with a different guide, use a different piece of equipment, and get a smaller group size.
right? Yeah.
And then we do that for, we have a very outline schedule, but we do that for about 30 to 35-minute rotations. Then,
That's
we
not a
do a
bad
little
time.
break.
Yeah.
We do a rave in 4. We play rave music. We throw glow sticks. We have a great time in there.
Oh
And then
wow.
we do what we call a free roam, which then you're allowed to go back to any location you want and free roam on your own. Top to bottom of these housing units, we turn all the lights out, and it is an awesome time. We do door prizes, we do games. Last year we hit a full size skeleton, and it was the
Wow.
first person to find the skeleton, wins the prize. We have an awesome time. So what we like to do there is take the history of the place, take the paranormal of the place, and throw in a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
So it's always a great time, no matter what you're coming for. 2-hour guided tour hunts. We do the 3 and the 5-hour hunts. And then, of course, we do the 8-hour overnight paranormal investigations for those diehard folks, that want to go for the all night. Yeah.
Nice.
And
Uh
the history tours. I can't
fun.
forget the daytime history tours. We do those too.
Okay. Now
Yes.
it is fun, Ashley. All of this is so much fun. Um So, like the overnight investigations, how many hours? How much is it? Like,
Okay. Well, and again, I'm the one that does the talking part, so I'll try to do my best on the price. But www.missouripintours.com,
I
all the
actually have the
info.
QR code for it right here on the.
Sweet, you are the bomb diggity.
Yeah.
Okay. So, the overnight, we start those usually at 10 o'clock at night. They go to 6 a.m., so they're 8 hours long.
That's
Now,
not bad at all.
no, and I think they're 115. I think it's 115 for the
Per
overnight, for the eight
person
hour
or for
per
per group?
person, per person.
Okay.
Um, you don't have to stay the whole time. We don't lock you in and say, you're stuck here till 6 a.m. If you're ready
Yeah.
to go early, we let you go early. But okay. Then the 3 and the 5 hour hunts. Oh, I want to say there, I don't even want to quote the price. I'll get it wrong and then the boss will yell at me. And
That's fine. That's fine.
she's the prison boss for a reason.
Yeah.
But 3 hour and 5 hour hunts, we usually start them at either 10 and they'll run till 1 if it's a 3 hour, or run till 3, if it's a 5 hour. Same thing. You don't have to stay the whole time. What's good about ours is, you can bring all your own equipment, or we have things we'll let you use for free. We don't charge anything to use equipment. If you want to bring in a little snack and go into the lobby at some point and have a little snack, we'll let you do that. We're very laid back. We just want people to have a great time. That's the number one thing for us, is to enjoy the facility.
Right.
So we structure our events a little bit more with rotations. Of course, our 2 hour guided tour is completely structured. You're guided through the whole time. But then the hunts and the overnights, again, it's more of just a doing your own thing. We don't follow you around and, ooh, what are you doing, and this and that. We want you to experience it, and we'll be there and hunt with you, and bring
Yeah.
out our toys, because we got those expensive ones that we'll bring
Yeah.
out on our
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
So yeah, we truly do have a little bit for everyone. Now, I do want to point out, we do have age minimums for our hunts, well, our tours, hunts, and our overnights. And that's for a couple reasons. You're in the dark, you're in an abandoned prison, it's a safety thing. And again, the history of the place is pretty violent, and it is a
Right.
little over the head, and we don't want people to get upset in there. And so again, just check the website for all that information. You can make reservations online, which we recommend. Now, we will take walk-ons if you come up to the door, but here's the catch. We do cap them. We're not going to run that 2 hour tour up to 50 people.
Yeah.
And so it is rare that you will get turned away at the door, but it is always a possibility. And we certainly don't want someone to drive a couple hours down and then not be able to get on the tour. We also offer privates. And what that entails is, if you want to do a private group, there is a minimum number of people that you need to meet. And then the price of the ticket is the same.
Okay.
So, 25 people, private. Nobody else is in there but you guys. So it's
Right.
your friends, your family, your group, if you've got a team that you like to go, and that keeps the general public from contaminating
Yeah.
the area, being noisy, lights flashing. But I will tell you, on the public's, we don't control that. You've got
Right.
other people in there. And so we recommend to people that really do want to have a real experience, and have that quiet time and that intense investigating, definitely do the private if you can meet that minimum. It's going to be well worth it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing with me. It's just me.
Yeah.
So
You know
like,
what?
it's
You
kind
know
of
what?
hard.
We've had one person come,
I'm down.
and all you got to do is pay for the minimum. We don't care if you meet the minimum people. You just have to
Yeah.
pay the minimum.
So I was gonna ask, what is the age requirement?
I believe the 2-hour ghost tour is 13,
Okay.
and then the hunt is maybe 16, and the overnight is 18, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote me on that.
Okay. So
But I think that is. Now the day tours are different because we offer the history tours, and the 2-hour history tour, our age minimum is 6.
okay.
So
I mean,
again,
even I've been doing this podcast for almost 3 years now, and like the major thing of haunts and locations is this jail more active during the day than night?
oh, very good question. Very good question. Okay. I'll just tell you, it's my favorite place to be, even more so in the daytime than at night. Again, I just like walking through the place, the architecture, looking around, etc. I have been majorly creeped out in there in the daytime.
Yeah.
Probably just as much, if not more, than I am at night. And
Right.
that's a true statement. And here's why, I think. The prisoners, as I mentioned, it being like a free moving, they moved
Yeah.
around a lot from
Yeah.
area to, they were out of their cells in the daytime all the time,
That's what I
from
mean.
sunup
More
till,
active during the day.
yes. I mean, they were constantly milling around down the paths outside. They were everywhere. And then they were locked down at night, lights out, be quiet.
Yeah.
So there's a reason, I think, but it is all the time, literally in that place. It can be anytime, night or day. You just never know. Just never know. It's what makes it great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Eastern State. I mean, like I said, I had definitely, and it felt like a boulder on my chest. Like Robin from Ashmore is like, I'd rather you be here during the day than at night.
It's a completely, and I tell people that and actually it's really good too. We suggest, if you can, you do one of those 2-hour history tours, and you get that rich history
Yeah.
from those guides that are doing those, and then you see everything and in the daylight, and then you come back at night. It's a completely different feel. But the history, you understand, you know where you're going because you saw
Yeah.
it in the daytime. Coming in there at night, if you've never been for the first time, and we kick all those lights off, and you're just like, so daytime is just as good as night. I highly
Yeah.
recommend both. See?
See, I'm more of a giddy person. Like, let's turn the lights off. Let's go. Let's do this. Come on. I want to be in the dark.
Well, I hope you can come. I hope your
Oh,
visitors and your watchers are able to come and visit us sometime, and we'll just have to do this again sometime too.
for sure. Now, do you guys get like reception and like Wi-Fi and everything at the jail, or?
We do have Wi-Fi, of course. It's sketchy in some places, like down in the dungeon.
Yeah.
You might lose it down there. Same thing down in 3D. But equipment runs. I mean, people do. We have people that run full cameras down there, like you
Yeah.
said, with shows, etc. So we do have electricity where you can plug in into certain locations. So
Yeah.
people come in there with carts and carts and boxes full of equipment and things that have to get plugged in, and so we can accommodate pretty much just about anything you'd need.
Got ya. Maybe we can do little walkthrough investigation.
Yep,
Sometime, part two.
I've done an actual walkthrough podcast with a local radio show.
Oh,
It's been
yeah.
a couple years ago. We had a great time. So yeah, we'd love to do it.
That's a major thing that we do on this show. We've done it at Eloise, Wildwood, McIntyre Villa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you know Stephanie at McIntyre?
I do know Stephanie.
That's my homegirl.
She is my home. She's a very lovable person.
Love that girl to death. Oh yes. Oh yes.
So I just want to show one more picture just because I love the color red.
Thank you. That's yeah.
I love anybody that's ever investigating me. I feel like you can see shadows a lot more in red and green than you
And
can.
I can't even take credit for that photo. I happen to have a a tour assistant walking behind me. And again, it was one of those nights, Christopher, where there was a hunt going on, and we're just walking around.
Yeah.
Just walking around looking, and of course we always use red. People ask us why, and it's not as harsh as that bright white
Right.
light.
Right.
It's easier on the eyes. So I just had my red light going, and I was walking down Death Row, and my girl behind me went snap, and then she showed me that after, and I was like, wow, that's an incredible photo. So
That's a cool photo.
yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah. So if you're watching on YouTube later on or now, put in your comments of what you think about this show. Hit that like and subscribe button. We're here to entertain you guys, and we need that kind of stuff to keep entertaining you. I thank you so much, Jenny.
Christopher.
This place has always been on one of my top lists, and just talking to you about it, it's just one step closer to me being there.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm telling you that it's been a career for me, something I never thought would happen. It's my favorite place to talk about. You will never be disappointed coming for a visit, regardless of whether or not you get paranormal activity or not.
Yeah.
So I hope everybody, all your viewers and everyone, can come and see us sometime. I'm gonna throw something else out real quick. I kind of got forced, not really, but a couple seasons ago, I was asked by a lot of young people if I had TikTok, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'm 60. I don't do TikTok. And they're like, you need to. And finally, I just did, and I'm very humbled, but it exploded. I have like 11,000 followers.
Oh,
I've got
wow.
videos that have had over 1 million views. So MSP Ghost Guide, all spelled out. MSP Ghost Guide is my, what is it called? See, I don't even know. What do they call that? My
Your link,
username?
username, link. Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Right.
You can subscribe out there, and again, get out there on our website. Actually, our website is really cool. It's got a lot of history information out there and things to explore, and hopefully you'll hit that button and reserve a spot and come take a tour with us.
For sure. Thank you so much for coming in and talking to us, and welcome to the Underworld family.
Thank you so much. Enjoyed it.
Definitely. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
You bet. Have a great night, everybody.
You too. Remember,
thank you.
Always stay creepy, friends. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
I'll see y'all again next week.